Hey everybody, welcome back to Twin Cherry Studio, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install and set up Dolphin Emulator on Mac OS. It is my favorite emulator of all time. It plays GameCube and Nintendo Wii games, and there's a bunch of extra things you can do to make those games look and play fantastic. And I'm going to be going through all of them today, including some controller setup guides and some HD textures and other things like that that make Dolphin Emulator really amazing. So let's just dive right in to the tutorial. So first thing you're going to want to do is to click the link in the description and go to dolphin-emu.org, click the download tab at the top. And what you want is the beta version. It's very important that you get the beta version and don't go for the legacy version of Dolphin 5.0. I'm actually happy that they've renamed it because it used to be the stable versions of Dolphin, which was quite confusing for a lot of people. A lot of people would message me in my comments, be like, "Oh, my Dolphin doesn't look the same as yours. I downloaded Dolphin 5.0, and as you can see, 5.0 was released 7 years ago. It even only works on Mac OS X, which isn't really a thing anymore. It's just Mac OS, so the X has gone, and so has Dolphin 5.0. It's now legacy. So please download the latest beta version of Dolphin. As you can see, this one was released 1 month and 2 weeks ago. And then the developmental versions are, you can mess around with them if you want, but they are updated like pretty much hourly and daily, and sometimes bugs will destroy games that you're playing, and they'll react differently as they're still in sort of like a testing phase. So see these as kind of like the testers. If you want to test all new features, you can use developmental features that they're working on right now, and see the beta release as kind of the main release going forward. So we want this one 5.0-20347. It might have been updated by the time you get to this video, but just make sure that it is the actual latest beta. So I'm going to click macOS ARM Intel version. So this will work for M2 Silicon and the Intel Macs as well. And we just wait for that to download. So once that's finished downloading, we're going to want to open Finder. And as you can see, we have a .dmg file, and it's a really simple installation. We double click on the DMG file, it will open this folder here, and then in Finder you go to Applications and you just drag these two, Dolphin and Dolphin Updater, to the Applications folder and let them copy over. It's a much more simpler process than it is for Windows. And then you can eject the DMG and you can delete it if you want to clear up some space straight away. Now to launch Dolphin, we just go to the Applications folder and we just double click on Dolphin. Or you can just press Command Space and type in Dolphin. Now this is going to pop up. It says Dolphin is an app downloaded from the internet. Are you sure you want to open it? Click Open. And now you can choose if you want to authorize Dolphin to report information to the developers. Yes or no. No. Private data is, if you click no, no data is ever collected. And if you click yes, data is collected. It's entirely up to you whether you want to do that or not. Also, if Dolphin still doesn't open after you click in open, you're going to want to go to the privacy and security settings in your Mac. Scroll down and there will be a security section here. You'll need to select App Store and identify developers, or there may be a section here that tells you that Dolphin has been stopped from opening, and you can click open anyway, and you'll have to put in your Mac password. It all depends on your privacy and security settings on your Mac. But there it is, Dolphin installed, ready to go. But there's still a couple of config things that we need to do to set everything up. So first we're going to set our games directory. So if I double click here and find my games folder, which is in the desktop, GameCube games is the one that I've got. I click open and boom, there are all my games. If I click view and go to grid view, it's going to open them up this way, and it looks kind of disgusting right now, but all that is about to change. So if I go to the config button and press the config button in the top left here, I'm going to click enable cheats, I'm going to click allow mismatch region settings, and I'm going to click change disks automatically. I'm also on the auto update section. I'm going to change that to the beta so that it updates once a month. And I'm going to change my fallback region to the US because that's where most of my games are from. And then if I click the interface section, I'm now going to click download game covers from gametdb.com for use in grid mode. And as you're going to see, it's going to be currently downloading the game covers in the background, and it's going to make my whole setup look a lot cleaner. It's my favorite version of this. You can also change the theme of it if you want, and the system language and other things like that. So if you want to change it to, say, Korean or Chinese, depending where you're from, that's how you would do that for the system language of the interface. And there we go. If I close the interface option, you can see that all of my games now have this box art. Whereas if I go back to view and change it to list view, it doesn't look very good. Again, it just uses those standard logos, and some of them are missing, like Call of Duty Black Ops and Super Mario Galaxy 2. So I click view, go to grid mode, and everything looks fantastic thanks to the game database covers. So we're almost ready to play some games. In fact, we could probably click a game and play it right now, but I want to set up a controller and I want to get the graphics menu ready as well. So first thing I'm going to do is click the controller icon here, and it'll bring up a controller settings menu. So if you're playing GameCube games, you're going to want to set up your GameCube controllers here. You can have up to 4 GameCube controllers by clicking on the ports and enabling a standard controller, and you can then set up all of the controllers that you want to play the games. And then down here we have the Wii remotes, up to 3 Wii remotes. If you click here, you can have an emulated Wii remote or a real Wii remote. If you have a real Wii remote, you can hook that up. But the best way to go is with an emulated Wii remote when using things like an Xbox controller. The first one I'm going to go through is the GameCube controller setup, because that's the easiest one to wrap your head around. It's really simple. So if we go to port 1, click configure, and then when it says device, you want to click down and find your device. So SDL0 Xbox Series X controller, I'm going to click on that. That's the first controller in the first controller port. And then it's really simple. You see the buttons here, they're labeled. For A, I'm going to click on the button there and press A, and it'll change that to A. For B, it'll click and press B. X, Y, and then for Z, I'm going to use the RB button on the Xbox controller. And then for the start button, I'm just going to use the start button on the Xbox controller. Same with the D-pad, really simple. Just click, then press up, click, press down, click, left, click, right. Really easy. Now for the control sticks, you're going to want to use the left analog stick for the control stick. Press up, up, down, left, and right. And then as you can see, the red dot here in this section here, the red dot here, you can see that it's not quite in the center, so I'm going to need to put a slight dead zone on that. So where it says dead zone, I'll move it up to 7%. So whenever I let go of my Xbox controller by flicking it, it'll land in that dead zone and it won't move and it won't have any stick drift or anything like that. And then also we need to calibrate. So when I lift my controller all the way to the top, the red dot there shows where it lands on the GameCube controller, and as you can see, it doesn't quite hit all of the hexagons here. So I'm going to click calibrate, and then to calibrate, we just slowly move our left analog stick or right analog stick, depending which one we're doing, around the edges so that the Xbox controller and the red dot know their limits. So I'm just going to go around one more time, click finish calibration, and now it should go to the edges of each stick, the red dot. Same with the right analog stick, so that'll be the C stick. So press up, down, left, right, and then once again, just putting a small dead zone on to make sure that when I let go, it stays there, that doesn't move. Then a quick calibration by slowly moving the right analog stick all the way around the edges. Perfect. Finish that calibration. And then for the triggers, the left and right triggers, I'm going to use the left and right triggers on the Xbox controller. So for L, I press LT. For right, I press right trigger. And then for the analog section, as you can see, when I click down, no matter how hard I click down here, it still doesn't, it won't say full press. So for analog, this is for the spring analog, perfect for games like Super Mario Sunshine and things like that. So if you hold down, if you press the L dash analog and press the left trigger, and then hold the R dash analog and press down the right trigger. Now you can see the triggers moving very slowly. So it's perfect for racing games, Super Mario Sunshine and things like that. This is why I don't use the Switch Pro controller. I advise using either an Xbox or a PlayStation 5 controller. So you see, the more I press down, absolutely perfect. And then for the motor, click motor, find your controller. So I've got my controllers set, the default one there, and just press the button motor, press select and test. And my controller vibrates. Press OK. And then everything's set up. I'm going to want to save this as a GameCube Xbox controller. In the profile there, click save. Now, if I wanted to change this around, for example, if I was playing Twilight Princess, I'd want the X and Y the other way because of the way it looks on the HUD on the screen, and I have a tendency to press the button as I see it on the screen. So I'd quickly swap those around, and then I'd save it right in Twilight Princess, click save, and I have different profiles that I can load up for each game. But the GameCube controller is really simple. Simple setup. Basically, you just find the buttons that you want and press it. Whereas the Wii remote controls are a completely different beast because we have to deal with motion simulation and motion and other things like that. So we'll start by changing it to the Xbox Series S controller, or the Series X controller as it's here. And then this is the standard, just the Wiimote on its own, and we choose what extension that we want to put in. So if we're playing Super Mario Galaxy, we'll have the nunchuck configuration. If we're playing New Super Mario Bros, we won't need a nunchuck, and we'll change it to none. So this is where you choose whether you're having the nunchuck attached or the nunchuck not attached. You can also attach Motion Plus, which simulates the Motion Plus. Some games require Motion Plus. And then here is just the standard setup. It's the same as with the Xbox controller, whereas if I was pressing A, I'd want to press A on my controller. B is a back trigger. I set that to right trigger. And you pretty much set this up exactly how you want to play the game. So what I do is I load into the game like Super Mario Galaxy, and then I basically change it as I go. I find out which buttons would be for jump, which buttons would be, and where I'd naturally put them on a controller. Same with the motion simulation as well. So some games require you to shake the controller. If you set the X, Y, and Z axis to the same button, so if I set it to left trigger right now, which is what I sometimes do, I'll check it out later, but if I set that to Y, and then you can see whenever I press my left trigger, it shakes the controller and simulates a shake on the controller. The point, I usually set this to either the right analog stick, I think. Yeah, I set this to the right analog stick. This is just the standard IR pointer that is pointed at the screen. So if I change this now to the right analog stick and I move it around, it'll simulate the motion moving on the screen here. And then it'll always go back into the middle. You can also choose it to hide when you're not using it that much, so it auto hides, which is a perfect, or you can set a button to hide it yourself. So when you click in on your right analog stick, it'll hide the IR receiver. I usually use this for games like Super Mario Sunshine and FPS games and things like that. And then the tilt controls simulates exactly what it says on the tin. Tilt forward, backwards, left, right. Now, again, with some games, if you have your Wiimote on your side, forwards is actually left and backwards is actually right. I've done numerous videos on different games on how to set these controllers up. So if you want to check them out, I'll leave links in the description to all of my different motion simulation games. Same with Swing. Swing simulates exactly just swinging the controller like you would. It'd be great if these had gyroscopes and stuff and motion already built in, but they don't. I'm going to test the Joy-Cons at some point and hopefully be able to set them up as well. Same in the motion input, this is the accelerometer and the gyroscope, which I rarely touch. And then the extension, this is the extension that's been plugged in. So once again, we have the nunchuck extension plugged in here. And I just set this to my left analog stick, so left, down, left, right. Move that around, and as you can see, it's similar. And then the C and Z button and the C and Z button. Z is usually ground pound in Super Mario Galaxy, And then the extension also has motion support, so sometimes the game will ask you to shake both the Wiimote and the nunchuck at the same time to get like a better feeling. You can set that to a different button as well. Like I said, it's all about the games that you're playing, what the games that you're playing requires, which is why I don't really mess around too much with Nintendo Wii games unless I absolutely really want to play them. If I do, I make sure that I get ones that have like GameCube controller support and other things like that. But for games like Super Mario Galaxy 2, where I absolutely love to play that game, I've got guides already on how to set that up, so you can check those out. Let's close that, and we are almost ready to play a game. But first, I'm going to go into the graphics menu. This is the last thing I'm going to do before I start playing with games. I'm showing you how to do other things and other cool tricks. So if we go to the graphics menu here, now as you can see, the back end here is already set to metal because I'm using a Mac, and that is the Mac standard API. If a game is struggling to, or it doesn't look very good, I'll check it out in Vulkan as well, or I'll just stick to metal, or sometimes I'll use the software renderer, which isn't, it's always the last resort to use the software renderer, but the Vulkan API and metal are the ones that you want to be using the most. There are some games that will only run in software renderer. I can't remember off the top of my head which ones they are, but to find stuff like this out, if you're having issues with the game, what you do is you go to the Dolphin Wiki. This is the Dolphin Wiki page. It's wiki.dolphin-emu.org. I will leave a link in the description down below. And what you do is you just type the name of the game. Let's say I was playing Star Fox Adventures. Star Fox Adventures. I put that in the search bar, press enter. I have to actually spell it right. There we go, Star Fox Adventures. Put that into the search bar and it'll bring up Star Fox Adventures, and I can check any known problems. So this one has problems with DirectX 3D, which we don't have to worry about. It says to use OpenGL or Vulkan to avoid this issue. There's missing sounds, some silhouettes, flickering silhouettes, and there's also some glow effects, and it tells me exactly how to fix them with what I should do in the graphic settings as well. So this is what you do if you're having issues with the games. You can also check out enhancements like aspect ratio fixes, and also you can also check out HD texture packs and things like that. I'm going to show you how to install them in a little bit. We're just going to launch a game and get this going. So we'll start with metal. My adapter is the Apple M3 Pro. Make sure that it is your actual chip. If you're using Apple Silicon, it'll be the M1 or M2 or M3, whatever it is that you've got. But if you have an Intel Mac, you can change between the Intel graphics, and preferably what you want is the AMD graphics. So we're going to launch Star Fox Adventures, seeing as though I've already checked that out. I'm going to double click on that. As you can see, the back end here where it says Metal Apple M3 Pro has been grayed out because we can't change that while the game is playing. Okay, so I already have a save file kind of set up for this, and I'll show you where to get your save files and where to look at things just a little bit later on. But as you can see, the game itself is it's very old and retro, and it's basically what you'd expect really from a GameCube game, but there are ways that we can make this look and play a lot better. So first I'm going to go to the advanced section of the graphics configuration. I'm going to click show FPS, show VPS, and show percentage speed. So this can show me exactly what the game is running. So the max speed that it can run at is about 260% right here. So that's pretty good for for emulators anyway. I'm also going to click load custom textures because we're going to add some custom textures later on. It says found 0 custom textures. I'm going to put prefetch custom textures as well so that it launches with the game with the custom textures already built into the RAM. If you're having issues, then you can turn it off, but we'll get to all that a little bit later on. These are just this is just me preemptively putting a few things on. So now I can see the FPS is currently at 60 frames per second, and the VPS is currently at, well, 59.94, which is basically 60 frames anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do is in the general, I can put VSync on or VSync off, but it doesn't really make much of a difference here because there's not any screen tearing. But if you're having some problems with screen tearing, then you're going to want to try it with VSync on. But if your speed is currently at below 100%, then you're going to want to not use VSync. So next thing we're going to look at is shader compilation, and sometimes games stutter when you're playing them for the very first time because the shaders need to compile together into your GPU, and eventually they will be compiled into a folder and they'll save into a folder. So to avoid stuttering, you want to click compile shaders before starting, and that way the more you play the game, the less it's going to stutter. You can use the default specialized ones, but I like to use the hybrid Uber shaders, which uses like a special Uber shaders to prevent the stuttering from happening while it's compiling, and then it kind of eliminates some of the stuttering there. And it kind of depends on your video card and your video driver, but hybrid Uber shaders seems to be the one that works for me on high and low GPUs. Exclusive Uber shaders are going to be better, but then they're also going to be, you're going to need a high GPU for it. So if I turn it on right now, you can see that the max speed has already gone down to 130%. So it's already causing issues. So if I just click it back to hybrid Uber shaders, you can see the max speed of my CPU has gone back up to 263%. So you can see the amount of effort that takes on the GPU itself. So if I go to enhancements, the next thing I'm going to want to do, as you can see, this is in 640 by 528, which is the standard, the old GameCube resolution, and it looks, it doesn't look great. Basically, I don't know if you can tell by looking at the screen. Let's make this a little bit more full screen. But it's very janky, it's very GameCube, very PlayStation 2 GameCube era. The pixels don't look great, so we're going to clean that up by using some graphical enhancements here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to internal resolution. I'm going to put that up to 1080p. I see my my speed has gone down from 246 to 280 right there, and if I wanted to, I could put it up to 4K. And it's gone down to 110, but it still runs. But if you look, the game actually looks a lot better. It's already used some graphical enhancements and other things there. So I'm going to stick to 1080p just because, like, basically the TV and the screen that I've got doesn't really matter, and I think it just looks okay anyway in 1080p. Anti-aliasing, so this is to smooth out jagged edges. One of the greatest things about Dolphin is that if you hold the mouse over things, it'll tell you exactly what it does. So anti-aliasing reduces the amount of aliasing caused by rasterizing 3D objects, smoother objects, like I said. So you can use SSAA, which is more demanding than MSAA. So you go here, there's four options here, MSAA, SSAA. So the best results will come from SSAA. And it'll reload a bunch of shaders. And you see I'm now down to 106 or 105% here. So I might want to go down to 4 times MSAA, or I can go to 2 times SSAA. That will make everything look a lot smoother. Now the game's already starting to look a lot smoother, but my max speed has gone down to 130%. And then texture filtering, start at 16 times anisotropic, and work your way down as long as you don't lose your frames or your speed of the game. And then output sampling, I never really touch output sampling, but like I said, if you hover over it, it'll give you exact examples. And if the Dolphin Wiki says to use output sampling, then use output resampling. The other thing I'm going to use is the widescreen hack. So if I click the widescreen hack and turn it on, and now when I go to general, where it says aspect ratio, I'm going to change that to 416 by 9, and it's going to make the game look better in widescreen. So if I click the widescreen hack off, you can see it looks terrible, it's stretched out. But if I click the widescreen hack, it makes everything look great. Now sometimes that does mess up certain games. You'll see that around the sides, some of the textures and stuff won't come in. So if that doesn't work for you, turn the widescreen hack off and just play the game in 4:3, or find a gecko code or something like that. That's another way that you can do it. But these are just the simple techniques I'm going to show you today. And then this section, the hack section and the advanced section, these are all things that you'll only touch if the Dolphin Wiki tells you to. So if you go into skip EFB access from CPU, it'll tell you what it does, but I have no idea what that actually means. But if the Dolphin Wiki tells me to click this on, I will click this on. And if I don't know what the default is, it says there in that little section here, it says if unsure, leave this unchecked. So I'll leave this unchecked. But if I go to the Dolphin Wiki, and I go to the Star Fox Adventures one, it tells me that glow effects render poorly, so I'll have to change it to EFB copies to texture only. So I need to disable EFB copies to texture only. So if I go to back to Dolphin, I find where it says EFB to textures only, store EFB copies to texture only. I turn that off and it will fix the bloom effects if I have problems with the bloom effects. And then when I play a different game, I can check it again, it says leave this checked, so I'll check that when I'm playing a completely different game. And that's everything you need to know about the graphics menu. As you can see, you can pretty much change the graphics on the fly while you're playing the game, and then just quickly toggle to full screen mode if you want to play the game in full screen. And now I can play this game in full screen mode. And then to get out of full screen mode, I go up to the top with my mouse, go to emulation, toggle full screen. That'll bring it back to this Windows mode where I can mess around with all the settings and stuff again. So I'm going to close that. The next thing we're going to look at is texture packs. So if you go to the Dolphin Wiki, you can see that there is a Star Fox Adventures HD texture pack. Click on the HD texture pack here. It'll take me to the page where I can find the download link for it. They have DDS and PNG. PNG is lossless. They have a beta pack and a texture pack. And then what this texture pack actually does, you can check and have a look around, is it cleans up the HUD, I'm guessing, by the sounds of it. I'm going to test it out and see. When I go to Dolphin, you can see that the HUD, the buttons, they're still not in the best of quality. And the hearts and things like that, they're still in not that great of a quality despite the rest of the game being cleaned up by the enhancements and hacks. And that's what HD texture packs do. Is people download the textures and they just repaint them for free on the internet. So I'm going to take the texture pack here. You can try any of these. I'm going to take the DDS one because that's going to be less intensive on my RAM. I'll take the PNG one actually. I'll give that a go. So I'll go to the Google Drive that's connected to this. And then I'll just download. Download anyway. More download, wait for that to download the zip file. Okay, so once that's finished downloading, I'm going to go to the Open Finder, double click on the .zip file and wait for it to unzip. And what I want is this GSA folder here. I'm going to right click on that. Now what I want is this GSA folder here. So if we go to Dolphin Emulator, we can see that Star Fox is GSAE01. That is the name of the that's the code, the game code that we will be looking to add to our folder. So first thing we need to do is find out where to put the texture pack. So if you click the link in the description down below, or just copy this line here from the description down below, it's the weird dash library application support Dolphin. Copy that, open Finder, and then click go. Where it says go to folder, click that, and I've already got this copied in. But if you paste that in and press enter, it'll take you to the page where we're supposed to be loading our texture packs into. So this is the Dolphin page, the Dolphin. So this is where the Dolphin options are saved. They're in like a kind of hidden folder within your users. So if I go right click on, if I right click on the downloads and click open in new tab, I will open the downloads in a new tab. And I'm still a guy that likes to pop my stuff side by side. So in the Dolphin section here, it has the same ones as they do on Windows, the cache, the config, the game settings. So if you're familiar with any of this, you'll know exactly where to put everything. So I click load, where it says load, and textures, where it says textures, and I just grab this GSA file and then I copy it over. And that will copy it all over to the textures file. And then when I go to Dolphin now, I open the graphics menu again. And I'll show you this happening in real time, hopefully. I go to advance, click load custom textures. It'll say I found 1,733 textures, and the text and the, so if I click unload, you'll see how blurry it is here on the buttons. And then if I load in the custom textures, you can see that the HUD menu is now a lot clearer, especially you can see on these hearts, and you can see on the A button here is clearer, the B button has been. So we'll turn that off again. So it's prefetch off, unload and load them back up. You can just see a sharpness within some of the textures as well. So if we look at this grassy area here, let's see if I can kind of zoom in on that. If I bring it to full screen, And then we can see this grassy area here on the mountain. If I bring my graphics mode over, if I unload the textures, see that it's kind of blurry. Around here is kind of blurry. And then if I load the custom textures, so let's unload them and then load them back up again. It just cleans it up a little bit. And that's basically what custom textures do. And as you can see, my max CPU for some reason has gone back up to 486% at the minute, which is kind of strange. But then some of the shadows on the floor have started messing up, and the game's starting to slow down. So this is where we'd open our graphics settings, and we'd turn a couple of things down to make it run smooth, and there we go, we're running smooth again. And the last thing we're going to look at, so that's pretty much everything you need, pretty much, but all the rest of this is just going to be like extra stuff on top. And the last thing we're going to show you is adding mods to Wii games using Revolution patches, which is something that you can do within Dolphin Emulator. So if I go back to Safari, I'll leave a link to this in the description down below. There's going to be lots of links, but this one is the Super Mario 3D Galaxy mod, which I've shown before on my channel. I've shown exactly where to get. So if I download this, click download anyway, and wait for it to download, and go to Finder, double click, and it will give me this folder, Super Mario 3D Galaxy. So once that's open, it will give you this folder. I'm going to go straight into the folder, and then there's a couple of extra things here. So we have the Revolution and the Super Mario G3DW folder. So once again, we go to the same folder that we used for our textures, and we go to the Revolution packs one, and we just copy everything here. These two folders, we drag them into the Revolution folder, and now when we go to Dolphin, if we right click on Super Mario Galaxy 2, click Start with Revolution Patches, and it'll say Super Mario 3D Galaxy, click Active, and then click Start. And now Super Mario 3D Galaxy is now Super Mario Galaxy 2 is now Super Mario 3D Galaxy, which is a mod that I actually really enjoy playing because I love Super Mario 3D World, I love Super Mario Galaxy, and I just find it really interesting seeing these games like actually working together. So you see basically Super Mario 3D World in the Super Mario Galaxy engine, and there's plenty of other mods for Super Mario Galaxy 2. There's a bunch of like fantastic mods out there, not just this one. You can see on the M3 Pro, the game is running well. Amazing. They don't have the cat mod, but they do have other mods. This is an exact recreation. I love it. I love everything about it. It's beautifully done. Anyway, that's it for this video. That's everything you need to know really to get yourself started with Dolphin on Mac OS. Once again, I will not tell you where to find the games because that's providing illegal material on YouTube and YouTube doesn't like it. But this has been great. I'm going to do some more videos on some more emulators possibly. Any questions you have about Dolphin Emulator, let me know in the comments and I will try my best to get them answered. A lot of people always ask for controls for certain games. And I just gotta say, I absolutely 100% can't do every game that is asked of. Because some games I don't have. And honestly, I have a job. I have other things to do than just sit making controller for 2 or 3 views at a time. That being said, everyone have a fantastic new year. I'm going to be messing around with some more emulators on Mac. So any other emulators you want, let me know, and I will try and get the videos up as soon as possible. Take care, and don't do anything I wouldn't do.